Getting absolutely white. Have you?
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
Have you turned into a ghost?
No, I'm just looking at a window.
No, I'm talking about. I'm sorry, Chris Gaynor.
Chris Gaynor. Okay, other
Chris
Chris.
Gaynor has turned into a ghost.
Yes, he must be looking at a window as well.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
It's your dark background.
I've got a different camera here, and that's what it does, you know. So
Okay.
Your camera's being fooled by the dark background, your brick background.
I wondered if it was some effect of being president of the National for a while.
well, that too.
The shadow of his fork still.
Could be. Could be.
Anyways, I guess I think maybe everybody who's attending tonight, welcome to another edition of Astro Cafe on Zoom. And I think a lot of tonight we'll be talking about the comet. But Garry had asked he found a couple of things and he wanted to share them with us. So I thought we'll start with Garry. So I'll just share my screen. And this one.
How about you think? There we go. So this is if you guys want, I'll bring a weekly astronomy cartoon. So there you are.
Love it.
See, I told you it wasn't a new planet.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
for all of us telescope picture takers, I thought this was pretty cute. Now, I started my Facebook account back up looking for a new dog, and this popped up. So I thought, well, you know what? This really reminds me of something. So what's the next picture there?
Okay, hold on a second. I'll just swap it. Okay, it's just coming up now.
So I was up at the observatory I forget when it was, last fall, and we were going to be doing the first amateur photography of gravitational lensing. So here we are after doing the imaging, and here's Dan arguing with Michelle, and Dan saying, yes, it is a gravitational lens, and Michelle saying, no, it's just dust on the lens, and Dan saying, no, it is gravitational. No, it's just dust on the lens. So I don't think they ever did agree, but that cartoon reminded me of these guys, so I thought I'd share it.
Oh, dear.
Oh,
That's wonderful.
oh, I remember that night. I don't know if I was there, but I remember the report.
It was pretty cool, you know. First time probably an amateur's ever seen it.
Yeah.
You have a good sized telescope, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
Great. Well, thank you very much for sharing that. And yeah, let's have some more cartoons as we go along. It'll help a good start to this the cafe. And
Okay, I'll give it a try.
Please do.
If you more cerebral types can put up with me, that would be great.
Great. Okay, thanks. Randy, I believe you had asked to share some photos you found. And I think you're still muted, my friend.
Randy, you're still muted.
Still muted.
I was just saying.
Just doing it on purpose. There you go.
Will you show some of the pictures, and then I'll go and talk about the discovery and the orbital properties of the comet. But let's see some pictures first.
Okay. Does anybody have pictures ready to go right now? And if not, Reg, you were going to present something. So, Reg, do you want to go?
Hi, Chris, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I could show a couple if I could get a screen. They're the ones that I posted today on, so maybe everybody's seen them and had enough of them.
No, go ahead if you can.
I'm going to be showing your picture, Dorothy, and I've left the best to the last. So I'll just go.
Okay, well, let's skip it then, because they aren't that great.
I enjoyed them. I thought you did great pictures there.
Well, I can say that the comet's good even when it's getting light and the tail's going straight up.
Yeah.
And it was 4 degrees Sunday morning.
Okay.
No, not the temperature, the degrees.
Yeah.
Tail.
Yeah.
So
I can show the Zenfolio gallery if you want. Did you want to go through this in order of the web page, or how do you want to do this, Reg?
I've got it. Well, let's see. I'll do some stuff because when it was happening, Joe, I just go through the page, but basically people were sending me stuff left, right, and center this afternoon. So I just threw some stuff together. Not all of it got onto Zenfolio. So I'll try first. If you can let me share the screen, I'll start here.
Yeah, you should be able to, hopefully.
Okay. And what I'm going to do, so here's our RASC page, and I'll just shrink this out of the way. And if we go down here to the July 13th issue, the first thing is Joe set up this great gallery for Comet NEOWISE, and I want to thank everybody for sending all these great images in. It's just wonderful. And I'm just going to step through these things quickly. The first one is from Joe. And Joe, if you wanted to, this one was taken on the 10th. If you wanted to do any comments on these, I'll just step through them if you don't.
Yeah, you can step through them, but basically it was a pretty big thrill for me. I mean, I've seen lots of comets and taken lots of photos of comets, but this is my first sighting of noctilucent clouds. So this is really a special day for me and other experienced observers in Victoria Centre, for that matter.
Well, I think it was great that we had Alistair give a talk on noctilucent clouds. And,
yes, I thanked him on Facebook because he really alerted me to it. I knew exactly what I was looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I calculated the angle of the sun at roughly when these were taken, and it was around what he was talking about, 11 degrees below the horizon is the optimum angle, and it was close to that. So I think those are noctilucents. And
Joe,
here's
were you
another...
up at 3:30, or is that?
Yeah, I was.
Okay, I
up
wondered
at
if you
3:30.
changed your clock on your camera, but
No, that was a real time. I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning, believe it or not.
okay. My hat's off to you.
Yeah,
That's my favorite. I think it was worth it to see the noctilucents, to be honest. Mind you, the comet is gorgeous.
Absolutely wonderful picture.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
and here's a picture taken by Bill Weir. Is Bill on tonight yet?
I haven't seen him, but
No.
This was the first photo that alerted us to the fact that the comet was actually in the sky, and Bill, of course, is great at sounding the alarm and getting people out.
Yeah. And here's another shot of his from Taylor Beach.
Yeah,
and you can
just a
see the
quick cell
comet
phone
there.
shot.
And this was in the morning sky with the dawn encroaching. And another one on the morning of the 12th. And you can see the comet there on the 12th. And he was complaining in some of his posts about the tripod legs nearly getting into the water. So another hazard of being a West Coast astrophotographer or astronomer, I guess. And this one was shot taken through his eyepiece. And this was on the morning of the 12th. And here's a beautiful one by Dan Posey. Look at all the gorgeous cloud that he managed to get in there, along with the big long tail. Just wonderful stuff we're getting from everybody here. I really am impressed. And another one from Joe. Have you have any thoughts on that, Joe?
Well, that was last night. That was 11 p.m.
Yeah.
From Peacock Hill. So for the folks that are planning on going up there tonight, that's what you'll see.
And Sherry, I had a terrific adventure. She
Joe?
drove all over the
Joe,
place.
can I ask Joe a question?
Go
Where
ahead.
is Peacock Hill?
Peacock Hill is right at the end of Ptolemy Avenue. If you're driving down Quadra, you turn east on Ptolemy, and you drive till you get to the end of the road. It's sort of adjacent to the bottom end of Cedar Hill golf course area,
Yeah.
Maplewood.
Okay,
It's only a
yeah,
block from where I live.
yeah. Yeah, well, that's Arbutus Cove is a 10-minute walk from where we live. And that was a good
Yeah.
spot too.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. So Sherry had quite the adventure. She went up on the Malahat and got clouded in, and she went somewhere else and got ousted. And I lost track of where she finally took this image, but it's a beauty. And there was a blow up, and she used a Vixen Polari tracker. So this was a 60-second exposure that she got with this. And I guess, does anyone want to comment? Is this an example of the double tail that we've got here?
That is a hint of the ion tail. It's actually just left of your pointer, right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
The ion tail always goes straight away from the sun, and the dust tail curves.
Very interesting. Another one from Sherry.
Tail curve, or is it like with when you spray a water hose, it looks like a curve just because the hose nozzle is moving?
That's what it is, Randy.
Exactly,
Yes.
yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
The comet head is moving and the dust trail is not moving as rapidly towards, away from the sun as what the ion tail is.
And the ion is just going faster.
Yeah, it's lighter, so it gets pushed by the solar wind a lot quicker.
Right. Thank you.
And another one from Joe. This was last night at Peacock Hill at 11 o'clock as well. And that's the end of those ones. So
I should say just in closing that all my photos are single shots, and if I do more photos of the comet, I would like to do stacked shots, because that's really when you can get the tail enhanced and all that sort of stuff.
okay. Well, that's great that you set that up. So if other people capture images, this is a great place to place them. This one did not make it on there. This is Bill Weir's sketch, and he has got the comet there, but I think these are people he got in his sketch as well. So that's a new feature in sketches, I think. And this was at Taylor Beach on the 12th. And now this one was, I took this picture at 11:15 from my deck, and looking, there's tremendous glare from the Oak Bay Marina. So if I took any longer shot, it would, the glare would overpower it. So, but what I wanted to show is the distance from the base to the horizon to the comet at around 10:45 to 11 o'clock was the width of the angle of a fist. So if you're out there looking around, I think that would probably work again tonight. Just stick your fist out there, and that would give you an idea if you're out around 11 o'clock or so at night.
And is it northeast, Reg, or?
That was north-northeast. So, so if you look at Polaris and drop a thing down, I actually said that if you knew where the or thought that if you knew where the meridian went, where the Great Circle went through the North Star, this would be about a fist width away from the north and a fist width up at around that time of night. So
northeast, okay, good.
And here's a beautiful shot from Nathan's dad. And it's really nicely situated. I think he did a terrific job there. And a lot of people have really done an extraordinary job of capturing stuff in the foreground, and it makes the shot so much more interesting, I think. And he actually did, that was a 20-second exposure, and I'm not sure, but I think it was mounted on some sort of astro tracer or tracker or something like that, but I might be mistaken. And here's a shot from Remi. Now, Remi this was from Mount Doug. Remi, you're on, aren't you? Have you got?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went up there at about 9 o'clock, and there were a lot of people looking at the sunset, but also waiting for the comet. And one by one, they disappeared until I was the only one there. And I finally saw it at about 10:30, but the park gate closes at 11, so I didn't have much time. I had to sort of beetle down. And I then went to Majestic Park, and I did this one.
Yeah, you got a beautiful
Nice.
shot there.
Oh, it's nice, Remi.
So I put these kind of in what I thought was the chronological order of time of when they were taken. And this beauty was by our own Lauri Roche.
Hey, oh, look at
That's
them.
nice, Lauri.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say that I'm the absolute opposite of what Sherry did, in that she had to travel for ages and she went up and down and she had to find. I went out on my back deck. I had on my pajamas and my slippers, you know, like, so I didn't have to go very far. However, I've got a marina right sitting in front of me, and you can see that there's a mast right sitting right in front of me, and I had to kind of actually crop or pull the picture up a little bit because there was too much light down underneath there. But I was able to get the comet. But you can see that it's almost right at the edge of the trees there, and that was about 12:15 or so at night.
That
so
is a nice tail. You really captured the tail quite
yeah,
nice.
the tail ended up being okay, but it's still not. I was talking to Joe today, and I still don't think that I've got my my focusing as good as I can. That's at about about a 70 meter, a 70 on a Canon with a Canon lens. So
I think you did a
That's a
great
nice
job. And I
Well,
hope you keep taking pictures.
well, I'll try, but otherwise I can't. If I go out again tonight, I'm going to get the same picture.
Yeah.
Well, I
I'm
like
still
the
going to get mass in front, you know, so I have to, if I want to change where I want to go, I'm going to have to move a little bit. You know, I'll actually have to put on clothes and shoes. Yeah. So there we go.
So when you took this picture, Lauri, I took one at the same time. And when I said the other picture was a fist high, this one was a thumb width high at that time at 12.
Oh yeah, it wasn't very, I mean, and mind you, when I'm looking northeast, I do have these trees in front of me, and just to the east of this, Salt Spring Island starts. So it's really just at the limit of what I can see. So I don't actually know where the horizon actually is. You know, like it's definitely less than, definitely below that. Anyway.
And
Ooh,
here's
isn't that beautiful? Look at that.
Here's a beautiful shot by David.
Oh,
That's
David.
gorgeous.
Wow.
I know. Look at that.
David's beautiful blue, his blue hour.
Yeah.
David, when did you take that?
I took that this morning. I think it was around 3 o'clock or 3:30, something like that.
Yeah.
I did have some trouble. As I mentioned in the notation, I'd actually gone up there to try to do a stack, and I actually found Sid there. He actually had, we had talked about meeting up, and I didn't think he was going to, and here he was already there. He had really beat me there. So I did set up, and then I decided to change my mounting configuration. This is a very bad thing. Don't change anything at the last minute. Definitely don't do what I do. So I found that I couldn't actually orient the camera properly. So I ended up just shooting it any way I could. And I ended up with this kind of cockeyed frame. So that's why it is the way it is. I think it probably looks okay. But pardon me?
I like it. It's got a really defined a good brightness to it.
Yeah, it was beautiful. You know what I really like about this image is the transparency of the comet against the cloud. Like when you look at this, you're kind of seeing the cloud behind it. And the cloud is actually helping your ability to see the ion jet, actually.
So David, when you said that you didn't do the right scale for the PixInsight method, what do you mean by that?
Okay, so can I share? Am I able to share?
Yeah,
If Reg
I'll
stops, yeah.
stop share.
When you stack on the comet head, of course, your stars will streak. Now, your other option is to stack on the head, and then, if you stack on the head, the stars streak, and then the opposite is true of the other way. Now, in order to use the PixInsight method, you have to be able to see, like in this situation here, you have to be able to see the head of the comet discretely. And the reason for that is it needs to see a sequence of comets at a certain scale. So in my case, because I used a 70mm lens, they're overlapped. So I didn't wait long enough for the scale. So if I shoot with a longer lens, the gap's going to be wider. So I can actually use the technique. The only other option would be for me to wait longer. Now, I could have done this with the 70 if I waited maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes instead of the less than a minute that I waited.
Oh, yeah.
So you want all the comets discrete, and then you can backtrack through it. So in the end, there's a really good explanation on the web. If anybody wants to see it, I can send it to you. This fellow actually just goes through the whole thing, and he describes how the technique works. It's available textually, but also I think the video worked really well because he actually showed you what he did. So that's what I plan on using.
Isn't the head too saturated to pull out anything?
I don't know. I'm going to have to vary exposures and things. You're quite right. It could be quite saturated, but then you're going to have to manipulate the exposures a little bit. I might need to do 2 stacks, maybe. We'll see. The main thing is I wanted a comet sitting inside of a static star field. That's my goal.
Could you send it to me, please, David? I'm going to head out tonight and give it a try.
Yeah, I will.
Thanks.
I promised to show Dorothy's image, and that's the last one right after David. So I'll just share the screen again if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Doesn't look right. Here we are. So that's David's image. And then what we have down here. Now, Dorothy and Miles, you said that it was at 3:30 a.m. on the 12th, but didn't you go down this morning to see it? Well, that would be on the 13th, wouldn't it?
Yes, we went down this morning. Miles decided there were too many clouds to the east on the 12th, so I was down there by myself and had a great time, although it would have been nice to have company. And that's when I took these pictures and did the drawing. But this morning it was a little bit to the left of where we're seeing it now. There's a little bit of a white line there.
Oh, there it is.
To show where it is. This is looking straight across Harrow Strait toward the North Cascades, and it was, as you can see, it's getting light, but the comet just jumped out at you. I'm not much of a photographer for this sort of thing. I took a bunch of different exposures, different ISOs, and it was handheld, so some of the might have been best settings, but I didn't hold the camera still. So this was overall was the choicest.
So my date here is wrong. I'll
That's
change
right.
That
yeah. Well,
okay.
Yeah.
And here is
and these are my
sketch.
Sketches from there, and that whale cloud, that was really neat. I just cropped the whole to get a vignette between trees. So I was sitting on a bench looking out at the this. It looked to me, I call it a whale cloud, as I think I said in the email. It's if you take Cetus and rotate it around 180 degrees, the tail would kind of stick down like that if you think of this a sky chart. And that's really what it looked like. And then there were trees where it's gray on the side. So I just had a neat little window. Lauri, I know the problem with trees. That's why I wasted several what have been good mornings thinking I could see it in my pajamas from our porch and when it was back of the fir tree. So
beautiful.
yeah, this is a really good place. It's high, so you can see right across Arbutus Cove to the left, to the north, and I could see Ursa Major, the Bear's Paws, and yeah, going left, is left and up, right around past north. So it's a nice sight. And I just stuck in this binocular sketch just to show with an 8-degree field that even with the lightning sky, I could definitely get a tail that was basically half the field. So it was pushing 4 degrees. And I think someone wrote at 6 or more. Some of you have seen just with binoculars. So it was, considering the conditions, the clouds, it was not bad. And then sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, oh, there was one more from, that's okay. I took a picture from the beach going down to the Arbutus Cove beach from this high point. Fortunately, the tide was low. Yes, like as with Bill, I was lucky. And by then, this was after all of this, it was really getting quite light. And the comet still just was right there up in the sky. In the bright sky, even though by then it was pushing 4 o'clock, I think, or 3:45.
Dorothy,
Beautiful
what are
sketch.
the dots at the top of your tails?
Oh, those are 2 stars.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
was-
okay.
And I was going to try, I haven't yet, see if I can figure out what they might be. Of course, the moon was off to the right. I could see Venus was brilliant and other stars up higher. I think Venus may be in the photograph at the top through the trees. Yeah, up right, yeah, up there. I'm pretty sure I didn't crop it out. I cropped the top part of the picture.
Too high. It's about the same altitude, maybe a bit lower than the comet.
Okay.
When I was
Venus?
on Mount,
So it
when I
would be
was on
over
Mount
to the
Hummel-
right. It'd be over
Yes,
the
To the
12.
right, yeah, that's some
Yeah.
other, you're right. Yeah, you're right, Randy.
That's
It was
Capella. That's Capella up there.
Yeah,
Capella.
I
Yeah,
think so
it
too.
could be
The-
Capella.
Yeah, at the end of the comet in the.
It's Capella, you're right. Through the trees, more to the right, I could see Venus and then, of course, the moon.
Yeah, 3 or 4 o'clock, Venus was just coming up over the horizon. In fact, it was kind of orange. It wasn't white at all. It was coming through a lot of atmosphere.
Yeah.
I noticed that I was up after three nights
wow.
ago, and Venus was quite low, and it was orangey, goldy orange, like gold.
Yeah, I thought it was Mars at first.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's that.
right.
Yeah,
That,
Mars was up earlier.
That was not to remind you of my fiasco, but my first photograph from last week, thinking, wow, could that be the comet? And it was Venus that I photographed. So that's mistaking the angle of the narrow band between trees that we could see from our porch. So I photographed with my pajamas, Lauri, but not what I thought I was photographing.
But I saw the comet naked eye that the nucleus is quite bright, and then you'd have to really okay, there's a tail.
Yeah.
But I was looking through urban like sky glow and all that.
Okay, well, thanks everyone for the submissions. It was just terrific. I really enjoyed looking at the images. I just put in there's two useful sites. One is called SkyLive, and you can get all sorts of stuff like the orbital elements of the comet and all sorts of different maps and that. You might want to check that out for, it's very easy. You set it up for Victoria and it'll remember that. And it'll show you all of the rise and set times associated with that. It's really good. But the Comet Chaser had a beautiful, this other site had a beautiful binder chart for NEOWISE. And this is something you could print out and carry around with you in your wallet. So you can check out where it's going to be for the next lengthy period of time, at any rate. So before I'm going to go back, just one other thing here, and then I'll get out of your way. Let's see here. I just wanted to mention that Karun sent this interesting thing about talk at the UVic open house on Wednesday, and any computer enthusiast, the student Sarah Claphoff is going to be giving a talk on the role of computer science in astronomy. She goes way back. She's involves all sorts of stuff to beginning with, robots and all sorts of stuff now with modeling and that. It might be fun to try it out. And there's the link. Starts at 7:30 on Wednesday, which is several hours before the comet rises. So I'll pass it back to you, Chris, and thanks for your patience.
Okay, thanks, Reg. So Randy, do you want to?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, and share. Are we good? So, first of all, come on, there we go. Just wanted to say how exciting this week is to have the whole community and the whole world community together with this event. So on, I guess it was Thursday night, Friday morning, Dave Robinson and I were out at Turkey Head at the Oak Bay Marina, and I'd seen a couple of comets before, but this is the first naked eye one for me, and it was just one of those wow experiences that you don't get very often in your life. It was just wonderful. And with the noctiluminescent clouds, and also with seeing Jupiter, Saturn, Moon, Mars, Venus, all in that beautiful row. And Dave and I also saw a really nice meteor go right over Jupiter. Yep. He was getting his 4-inch refractor ready to look at Saturn, and boom, we had this beautiful meteor. So it was quite a wonderful, I guess about 90 minutes we were out there together. Anyway, so let's take a look around the world. First, this is the discovery of the comet. So the NEOWISE stands for Near Earth Object Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer. And there are 21 pictures that were taken on the 27th and 28th, and then they analyzed it a couple of days later and got it into the world news. And after two really bright potential comets fizzling out when they got to perihelion, nobody knew that this was going to be the big one of the year. But I just think that's a great set of pictures. And then it got to perihelion, and so the only telescopes that could look at it were the actual solar observatories like SOHO. So here is a montage of 5-6 days right around perihelion. Again, fantastic pictures. And I remember seeing this when it came out, thinking, okay, this looks pretty good. While we're in space, this was just taken a couple of days ago. The Parker Solar Probe is decelerating. It's using a gravitational slingshot backwards to slow it down so it can go even closer to the sun. So it's right around Venus right now, and it took some time off looking at the sun to take a look at the comet. And boy, oh boy, can you see the
That
two
iron
different
cloud.
streams there. I think that's the best separation that I've ever seen on a comet.
Is that a super noisy picture? Are there just lots of stars out there?
No, this is not what that camera is made for. That camera is designed to look at the heliosphere.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but this certainly is not what that camera was designed for.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Maybe it's just a lot of stars. I don't know. So they worked out the orbit, and I love this. You know, you could do it in a heliocentric view, and it wouldn't be nearly as pretty. But this is a geocentric view, and so all of this big loop, that's this year, and each other loop is the Earth going around the sun. And isn't that fantastic? It's such a beautiful curve. But you know, comets spend all their time out in the Oort cloud, and it's just every once in a while they decide to come and say hi to us, and then they go back.
Sorry,
so,
Randy, can you go back and just do that again? I'm missing something.
Okay, so here we are, July. So it's zooming past the Earth right now. That is probably Auriga, and there's Gemini. So it's just going between.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so this is where we are now. I think it's at closest approach to the Earth in the early 20s. That's why it's shown bigger here, okay?
Okay.
And then it's going to get further and further away and further from the sun. So who knows exactly when it will be its brightest, because it's getting closer to the Earth, but further from the sun over the next coming days. So at some point it's going to start dimming. But then, like those first pictures, it was magnitude 17 when it was discovered, and now it's at magnitude 1. Or I haven't heard today, but that's what it was a couple of days ago. Anyway, so then as it goes through, it is in September, and then, you know, this will be getting off in towards December, and then each one of these little cycles is a year.
Okay.
As it's approaching its kind of parking spot off in the Oort cloud. And so how far away is it? Well, before it started its passage in, it was 540 astronomical units away. But because of interactions, if it were just a two-body problem, right? If it were just the comet and the sun, it would go right back to where it came from. But it has to go past Jupiter, it has to go past the Earth, has to whatever. So it actually is going to go further out than where it started. And it is 0.3 astronomical units at its closest. And it's always the weird thing with comets. If you want a nice bright one, it has to be close to the sun. But if it's too close to the sun, then it falls apart because it's just a snowball. I love this next line, the eccentricity. So a parabola, meaning it's not an orbit, it's just going to, you know, it's just going to go through once, has eccentricity of 1. This guy is 0.9992. So it's practically a parabola. So it was at a 4,500 year period, and now it's at a 6,800 period. So I just find this fascinating that you can also figure it out from a couple of months of observations. They can work out an orbit to that sort of precision. Just wonderful. Okay, a thing that nobody has talked about yet, but this is the first sort of, there have been several pictures that have shown this kind of double tail around the head. And it's probably not a double tail. It's probably like one of those planetary nebula that it's all the way around, but you see it more in the edges. So a planetary nebula is not a donut, it's a sphere, but you see it where there's more of that light. So that's what I think is happening here. But has anybody seen any analysis of why a lot of people are getting this sort of double tail look when you're close to the coma.
I have no analysis, but when I was drawing it from when I was in my 8-inch Celestron, and I was drawing it for the very first time, I have a darker space in the middle.
Fantastic.
Just exactly like that. And I mean, I can't tell you anything about the science of it, but that looks like I saw. So
this is one of the best pictures I've seen on the
Yeah,
internet.
we saw that to some extent, Randy, through my 4-inch.
Yeah.
I heard one person suggested that the darker part might just be the shadow that's being cast by the comet nucleus.
No.
That makes
No,
sense.
it must be a tiny, tiny object.
Yeah, but it's the sun has a diameter, right? So it would
Okay.
cast a fairly broad, dim shadow.
It's an eclipse.
My early pictures actually show that almost like the eye of a needle. It kind of looks like that. Like,
Oh,
it looks like a little loop.
Yeah, David,
Okay,
I glimpsed that with the binoculars 2 mornings ago, 8 times magnification.
That feature is very apparent in some of the images that I took with a different telescope.
Okay, so for the more experienced people here, is that something about this comet, or is that a thing that bright comets do?
Actually,
I don't think anyone is
one.
qualified, but I will state this. Every comet is unique. You can go back to Hale-Bopp, McNaught, a bunch of them, and it depends a lot on the angle of attack. So in other words, where we're looking at, what angle are we looking at it from? I mean, that it was illustrated when you look at the shot from the space probe. If you have a look at the photograph that was taken from the space station and the ones that are from Earth, they're all different. Makes the comet look very different.
Yeah. So that
But as to what that dark streak is in the middle, it's not something I'm qualified to.
Yeah. So for me, historically, the head looks like Hyakutake, and I can't remember what the year was, but Hyakutake looked like a spear, and its head looked like that.
1996.
I have, John here, I have a picture of Comet Lovejoy, one of them, that shows exactly the opposite sort of effect of this. It's very bright in the middle, almost like a streak down the middle, and softer around the edge. So it's
Oh, I love this.
So I think what Joe says is correct. They're all different.
Yeah.
Comet Holmes, for example, was just a big exploding ball because it was coming straight at us. You know, it just depends.
I love this. This is such good news that. And again, for me, this is my first major comet. I saw one on the hill last year, I guess, with Bruce
Lane.
Quirky Bruce Lane. But you know, it was just a little fun fact. Anyway, this is the best picture I found of the ion tail with the dust tail.
Wow.
It really, and look, the stars, this is a thing for you, David. The stars aren't streaked at all. So I don't know how he stacked that or what he did.
This is a stacked composite. This is as good as it gets.
What about the stars?
You composite them back in. You erase the stars from the image you stack, and then you put the stars back later.
Oh.
Yeah, so you're actually able to do that with the Pixinsight technique.
Yep.
I mean, you can do it other ways as well, but it looks the cleanest with the Pixinsight method.
That's also a really dark sky.
Randy, is that Hale-Bopp? Is that Hale-Bopp?
No,
that's our current comet.
No, that was taken a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
that's our comet.
It looks very much like Hale-Bopp.
My goodness, yeah, it's just the ion trail that threw me off.
It's so long. The tail is so long.
Goodness.
Well, the longest tail I saw was Hyakutake. I thought the tail on Hyakutake was tremendously long.
Yeah. I remember seeing that one.
Yeah, I have pictures of Hale-Bopp that look very much like that.
Very nice.
Oh, good.
Oh,
You can actually see the double tail here with this one. I took this for the touristic value. This is Stonehenge.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the Mont Saint-Michel. That's
Oh.
pretty clever.
Oh, neat.
Pretty clever.
Jennifer Cordy is one of my favorite lunar photographers. She actually gives courses on how to take pictures of the moon behind the Empire State Building and the Statue of Liberty. Anyway, this is the new World Trade Center in New York.
She looks reminds me.
Some Canadian content.
yeah, I
What?
saw that one.
So Barry Burgess's RASC in Nova Scotia. I just like the composition of this one. That's clever.
Oh, look at this.
These are wonderful.
I just,
have to work
you
at
know,
this.
Fred Aspenak has been showing a picture every day. He's so happy. He's, you know, Mr. Eclipse. He's taking pictures every day.
That's a neat one.
I love seeing the reflection in this one.
Oh, look at
So
this one.
she's somebody in British Columbia. I don't know who
Stephanie
she
is
but,
based in the Kootenays, and she's a bit of a mountain climber and wilderness bug, and a tremendous photographer, and she does great night sky work.
This is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is the room right beside me. And so the first time I saw the comet, I went out to, you know, a good site to Turkey Head. But then since then, each night I've just been looking through that crack in the window here. So basically this is towards where we usually hold Astro Cafe, or I live south of Moss Rock, or I live south of where John McDonald used to live. And I'm just amazed. So, you know, here is me in my nightgown. I put my cell phone on a timer and had it flash, but I have a fantastic view from inside my house. I'm just blown away. And each night it's been there. So, you know, I just set my clock on buzz at 2 in the morning. So I did get Eva and Hannah, my wife and daughter, up once to look at it, and they said, that's nice, and then went back to bed.
The usual response.
Yeah.
But hey, you know, they've seen it. I think they're happy. I hope they are. And then just to close up, I wanted a picture which was different than anything I'd seen. So this was, I actually put the tripod on purpose, where it came through a tree. And that's a 4-second exposure through a tree on my road.
Oh, neat.
And it's just to have a different picture, because everybody is taking the classic picture. There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Light in the tree.
Thank you, Randy. Lovely picture.
Thank you. Yeah.
Very good.
Very good.
I would like to show one photo, if you don't mind, of the comet. One of my absolute favorite.
Sure, please go ahead.
Just need to do a share here. Just take a second.
Ooh.
Yes. I meant to show this picture though, and I forgot
Debra
to put it in
Ceravolo is based in Usuyas, and she has some superb optics at her disposal, and CCD cameras and all that. So you can see the dark streak, but more impressive as far as I'm concerned is the glow and the wispiness around the head is well and plainly visible here.
And it's a gas called cyanogen. It's a CNO, you know, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen molecule that makes that cyan color. And then in the back, it's the water vapor.
So you can't really see the ion tail in this one
No.
as much.
No.
can
No,
you?
this is a
No.
close-up. She was
Yeah.
using quite a long focal length on this one, of course.
Mhm.
Yeah, the antenna will separate much further away.
Okay,
I just wanted to share that.
that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything to share or discuss this evening? Anything from Edmonton, Dave, or has it been?
Nothing, no, it's all been Comet stuff and pretty much the same. I might jump in the car and run up to Mount Ptolemy about 10:30 tonight to see if you can see anything.
It's still looking pretty good for tonight, so I think.
Not bad, yeah.
Yeah, it's outstanding out here.
Tonight will be better than tomorrow night.
Yeah. So I think it's.
Yeah.
It's a
I
good
want to
night.
thank you all for reassuring me that you're all nuts, so I'm happy.
Does anybody have any final items for this evening?
No.
That's all
Well,
for
I
today.
take a run up to Ptolemy after Peacock. I'm just getting a little bit of an idea here. So
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think it's going to be good tonight. So I'm planning to try and get out as well. So take the opportunity while it presents itself.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll walk my 10 feet.
Yes.
Lucky duck.
Yeah, I know.
Will it be the same boat, man?
Going outside my house.
Yeah, you don't even have to go right there, Andy. There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Randy,
goodbye.
Randy, I figured out why I was having trouble aiming my having the electronics aim my scope. It was not reading the local variation. So it was off by 16, 17 degrees because it was pointed magnetic north, not true north.
Oh, no kidding. But you know what? For the Comet, I think you should just have forgotten the
Don't bother,
tracking
yeah.
and just,
Yeah.
Poor Dave was setting up, and by the time
It's
the
getting
4-inch
awful
was
light.
actually working, it was getting light.
Oh no. Oh, is that out at a Tricky Point?
Yeah.
Turkey head, yeah.
Oh, we got a good
Oh,
look at the moon at the end.
Anyways, well, thanks again,
Okay.
everyone, and
Oh, it's
happy
great.
hunting.
Bye for now.
We're all happy about
Good
this comet because it's been a lousy year and the comet is saving it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right. It's nice to finally have a good comet
That's right.
after all the predictions that fizzled. Thanks
Yeah,
again,
not
everyone.
Good night.
Yeah. Good night, all. We'll have good viewing.
Good
Thank
night.
We'll see some of you at Ptolemy and